Good morning, Mr. Bagby here. I hope you had a good Labor Day weekend. Let's share today's daily work assignment. Clickety click, and there it is. So let's just jump right into it. Today, PE for my homeroom. We will be reading chapters 8 and 9 and be finishing up the book tomorrow. This will be the end, this Friday will be the end of our first unit in both ELA and social studies. Find 3 examples of the author using actual ancient Egyptian facts in his historical fiction fantasy novel. And the pages are down here. We'll read them together, but then you can look back here. I'll try to point some out today. But find them, please, and then write them down. Just 3 of them. You need a fiction and nonfiction book? Yes, you do. And today it's time for a spot check. So what books and how much have you read independently since our first online meeting, online school day, August 24th? So write down the names of the books and the authors that you've read so far. Or if it's just one big thick one, let me know that too. Because there's nothing wrong with reading one, you got a massive book. It's going to take you a while to read. Total pages read. Nonfiction, make sure you watch the nonfiction text features. That was put up there last Friday. It's important to know these so you can better use nonfiction books for research. And what is your favorite nonfiction text feature? Mine are illustrations, captioned illustrations that tell you what you're looking at. Not just pictures, but they have to have captions with them. I put up the 6 videos also again of how to create a realistic fiction story. It's a good idea just to review those again, just to make sure that you're covering all your bases. What is realistic fiction, brainstorming your ideas, creating an introduction, writing your first draft, creating a closing, just like you have an introduction, and then revising and editing your story. All of those are very important to make sure you include in your process of writing. Don't just rush it out in one day. Take your time on it and make sure it's as high quality as you want it to be. Hope you come up with a good idea for a good, realistic fiction story. Your story needs to contain a main character. It needs to contain a few minor characters, a setting where it's taking place, a strong beginning, middle, and end. That's the plot. And some kind of problem the main character must resolve. The completed story is due Monday, September 14th. And don't rush it. Have a rough draft ready, and we'll work on it together. And we can actually share it with people in our little small group settings that we're going to be starting and little 2 and 3 member team meetings. So be ready for that. The spelling and vocabulary are at the end of this document. It says 1, 5, 10, 15, and 18. So 1, 5, 10, 15, 18. That means it's additional, assist, compare, culture, and describe. So those are your words this week. And not only do you have to know how to spell them, but you should know how to describe the definition and use them in sentences. So to me, there's nothing more important in learning a new word than being able to use it in your own language. It's great just to understand it when other people are saying it, but when you can use it, it means you've completely grasped the meaning of it. So 5 sentences, 1 sentence for each word, numbered 1, 5, 10, 15, and 18. And yes, indeed, they are all numbered, so don't get confused. They're numbered right there. We've got a quizzes link today to subjects and predicates. I don't know if Zoom will show you the screen. I don't think so. If this pops up, maybe you can see it. But it should look like this. And I already started this just to make sure it worked. So is that a complete sentence, a fragment? What is that? I would say that's a fragment. Dun, dun, dun. I'm going to stop right there. I'm not sure if you were able to see that. I hope you were. I think Zoom is a little different in that whatever we put up on the screen, you can see. But there's two quizzes there, one on subjects and predicates and complete sentences, the other on subject-verb agreement. New topic, Gregor Mendel wrapped up last week. Today it's Lewis and Clark, America's Explorers to the West. The United States of America was a young nation in the early 1800s. It was much smaller than it is today, as it reached only from the Atlantic Ocean to the Mississippi River. In 1803, the government of the United States bought a large area of land from France. This land was known as the Louisiana Territory. It stretched from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. Many Native Americans lived there. Now, full of mistakes, spelling, capitalization, commas, end marks, periods, maybe some question marks. So fix it, please. We will be reading, continue reading Ken Jennings' books, copies at the bottom of this. We will read it together, but I will be modeling note-taking today from the book we are reading, and it's this book, The Birth of a Nation, Ancient Egypt, and we'll be reading these pages. So I'll just show you some techniques on how to pull notes from what you're reading and keeping them organized. Geography. Continue playing geography games. The more you play, the geographically smarter you become. There's a lot of them on there. And if you go through one, you only get a couple right, nobody knows. Just keep trying. Just keep doing it. The more you do it, the more you're going to realize where different places are in the world, rivers, mountain chains, etc. Please have a place ready to share from Google Maps. I've had this up there now for a couple weeks, but I will be calling on some of you to share a place that you have found that you can take us to when you screen share during the Teams meeting. And what you'll have to share with us is what hemisphere is this in? Is this the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, the eastern, the western? Here in Pinellas County, Florida, we live in the northern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. Pinellas County, Florida, we live on the continent of North America. We live in the country of the United States of America. We live in the state of Florida. And here at this school, we live in the town of Largo. And then tell us what you want us to see, depending on what you're visiting, why you chose the place. There's nothing to turn in here, nothing. You just have to present it. And you should write down notes so that you know what to say when you're showing us. Like if you get into London, England, you want to show some things in London, England. You have to go through here and show and tell us the hemisphere, the continent, the country, what city it is, London, and then what you want us to see, and then show it to us. The first 2 weeks, we're getting to know you. Not that we know you completely, but that little gifted unit is done now, and we are off to the next big idea, which is balance. What does balance mean? What is balance? I've got a scale there and then a really good stacking of rocks. I don't know if you've ever seen people do this, but it's pretty amazing. And then you have this guy balancing plates on his hands and standing on a great big yellow ball. That's what life sometimes feels like. You got to keep all these things up in the air at the same time and try to keep some kind of balance. So what are some examples of balance? You've all been dizzy. You've all, I'm sure, fallen before and not felt that you were balanced. So what are some examples of balance, both physically, mentally, emotionally? What do you think of when you hear the word balance? Got two gifted block puzzles today about balance. If this equals this, then how many green squares would go there? And this one's tricky. You got this equals this equals this. So if you have one of these, and one of these, what would go there to balance it out? Easy? No, but give it a whirl. It's a gifted block puzzle for a reason, because it's not easy. This one's easier, but this one isn't. You're gonna have to think about it. Oops. Fun fact, your brain, not your muscles, controls balance. It's widely assumed that poor powers of balance, that we have poorer powers of balance as we age, are due to the loss in muscle mass and strength. But the brain plays a far more important role. So does the ear. So family fun, find it or create an example of perfect balance at your house. My wife, Margot, loves to use the word balance in terms of decorating. Like you don't have too much here and too little over here. You have a nice flow and balance of everything throughout your house so that it flows instead of, it's like if you have a bunch of things to put on the wall and you put them all up in one corner. That would be kind of going against the idea that balance is important. So find some balance. There's our list again. And there's our class novel, which we'll be finishing up tomorrow. Might take till Thursday, but we'll see. So that's it for today's daily assignment. And again, we'll be going over parts of this this morning during our Teams meeting. But let's have a good week. And all the due dates ended. And I will create another file on Clever if you still have things to turn in that you could turn in late assignments. We'll see you soon. And let's stop recording.